So this is the affidavit of probable cause against Bradley Allen Bartholomew, white male, date of birth 3/12/1978, and Cortney Marie Bartholomew, white female, date of birth 10/21/1985. And this is in the 84th District Court in Michigan, Wexford County. So if you haven't heard, this is a case of the 22-year-old who was 38 months pregnant and had her baby boy cut from her womb, killing both of them, essentially. She sustained additional stab wounds, I should say, and that ended up killing her. But I thought I would read this to you guys so that you understand what's going on and know what's being said. Okay, affiant, a duly sworn police officer with Wexford County Sheriff's Office, attests to the following facts based on personal investigation or is swearing to the facts as presented by a fellow sworn deputy sheriff to establish probable cause that the crime of homicide first degree premeditated, felony murder, torture, conspiracy to commit torture, assault of a pregnant individual causing miscarriage or stillbirth, conspiracy to commit assault of a pregnant individual causing miscarriage or stillbirth, unlawful imprisonment, removing a dead body without the consent of a medical examiner, was committed by the defendant, and affiant is respectfully seeking a warrant for the defendant's arrest. On November 4th, 2025, at 1244, which is 1244 military time, Wexford County Central Dispatch received call from Kimberly Sue Park reporting that her sister, Rebecca K. Park, had not been seen since November 3rd, 2025 at approximately 2330 at 30 South 21st and a half Road in Boone Township of Wexford County. Deputy Reed began Wexford County Sheriff's Office Incident Report 83-2502044 as a missing person investigation. Now, I want to let you know that there are some typos in here, so I'll do my best to correct them as I go along, but sometimes I'm going to read them incorrectly or as they are incorrect, but again, I'll try to correct them. At the time of the report, Rebecca Park was 38 weeks pregnant and living with her boyfriend, Richard Lee Fowler, at 1531 North 41st and a half Road in Cedar Creek Township. Deputy Reed spoke with Cortney Marie Bartholomew, who is Rebecca Park's biological mother and lives at 30 South 21st and a half Road. Cortney reported that she was with Rebecca Park the prior night until approximately 8:30 p.m. when an unidentified friend picked Rebecca up from Cortney's residence. Cortney had picked Rebecca up from 1531 North 41st and a half Road to spend some time together and get ice cream from Culver's. On the way to Culver's, Rebecca told Cortney she needed Tide Pods, so Cortney returned to her address at 30 South 21st and a half Road to get some Tide Pods for her. Cortney went to the residence, grabbed the Tide Pods, and came outside. When she came outside, Rebecca told her that she was going to wait at the residence for a friend to pick her up. They waited a couple of minutes, and a black sedan with tinted windows pulled across the road from the residence. Rebecca proceeded across the road and got into the front passenger seat of the vehicle. Cortney did not know the specific make or model of the sedan or the number of occupants in the car. She could not tell if the driver was male or female. She said that after this, she did not see Rebecca again. Cortney reported to Deputy Reed that she was contacted by Rebecca's fiancé, Richard Fowler, regarding her location later that night. Cortney informed Rich that she did not know where Rebecca was and that she had left with a friend. Cortney was contacted by Kimberly Park the morning of November 4th, 2025, and was sent a screenshot of the location where Rebecca Park's phone was pinging at. Cortney told Deputy Reed that she proceeded down the road on West 26th Road, where she found Rebecca's phone lying by the two tracks just off West 26th Road. This location was less than 200 yards from the 30 South 21st and a half Road. Cortney checked the phone and thought Rebecca might have dropped it when she was using the restroom. Cortney reported that she took the phone to Richard Fowler's residence on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, and turned it over to him. The Sheriff's Office issued a press release on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, identifying Rebecca Park as a missing person. She was also entered into the Law Enforcement Information Network as missing. On Wednesday, November 5th, 2025, Detective Lieutenant Piskor met with Kimberly Park when she arrived at the Wexford County Sheriff's Office. Park had suggested that she might know where Rebecca is when she arrived at the Sheriff's Office. When I asked her about this, she played me a voice message from Courtney Bartholomew that said that Araya Clark had called her and said that two people in a car had pulled up to the Revival Center looking for Narcan, and said that the pregnant woman that's missing got what she fucking deserved. Courtney stated that it was Serena Roush that said something to Rusty Clark, Araya's father. She also added, "I guess it was an older guy that your sister left with. When I asked Kimberly if she knows where she's at, she answers that the only older guy that Rebecca talks to is Stephen Billett and calls him a pervert." Park believes that Billett drives a black sedan, adding, "like Courtney said." Stephen Billett was contacted and did not appear to have contact with Rebecca Park. During the interview with Kimberly, she showed Detective Lieutenant Piskor a Blue View brand Model 4 cellular telephone, which says Rebecca Park's phone on the home screen. Kimberly reported that she looked through the phone and observed that the last communications on the phone reported a missing video call from clunan14@gmail.com on Friday, October 3rd at 8:43 p.m. The last message was on Sunday, and the last phone call was to Courtney Bartholomew on Sunday, November 2nd at 21:14. Kimberly identified that Rebecca uses her phone regularly and daily, and because she did not see any communication on Monday, November 3rd, 2025, she suspects that records of phone activity on the 3rd have been deleted. Kimberly reported that Rebecca is known to regularly delete communication records from her cellular phone. Kimberly then played another voice message on her phone from Courtney Bartholomew, who can be heard explaining, "Okay, when Randy passed away, I was told that your sister had something to do with it. That would give Randy's family a murder revenge thing because she was involved when it came to Randy." On the message, Courtney said, "So, Stephen Billett is connected to Randy's family, so I would definitely be looking at them." When I asked Kimberly if she trusted Courtney, she responded, "Not really." On Thursday, November 6, 2025, at 13:55, Detective Lieutenant Piskor obtained a search warrant for the Blue View 4 cellular telephone that had been entered as property in the incident at item 54. The cellular device was submitted to the Michigan State Police Computer Crimes Unit on the same date at 15:16. On Saturday, November 8, 2025, members of All County Search and Rescue and Christian Aid Ministries Search and Rescue, with 36 personnel comprised of 5 teams, searched the area where Rebecca Park was last seen and the area where her cellular telephone was discovered or was recovered from. No additional evidence was identified. During this time, numerous tips and leads were coming in and were being actively investigated. However, none located Rebecca Park. Due to reported activity on Rebecca's social media platforms, pen register search warrants were obtained and served on her known social media accounts. However, no outgoing use was ever identified. On 11/15/2025, Candace Freeman reported to Deputy Jacob Koponen that her sister Cortney Bartholomew had texted her on October 28th that she had given birth to a son and was asking Candace for items for the baby. Through a series of text messages, Cortney said that she had given birth at 28 weeks. The baby was in NICU, Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, in Grand Rapids, and that she had named the baby Ashton Lee Bartholomew. Cortney told Candace, "He's supposed to come home this coming week. As long as he's doing good, still he will." On Monday, November 3rd, 2025, at 14:52, Candace asked Cortney if she was able to bring the baby home, and Cortney told her, no, he did a backslide, but still hoping this week. On November 3rd, 2025, at 23:17, Cortney sent Candace a text message that reads, "My son passed away." On Tuesday, November 4th, at 11:18, Candace asked if it was because he wasn't strong enough or if you had gotten sick. Cortney answered, "IDK, what happened? I just know he wasn't getting air," and added, "All I know is I watched my child die right in front of me." Candace asked if she was there when it happened, and Cortney answered, "Yes, I was." On Tuesday, November 4th, at 19:11, Cortney begins to discuss with Candace that Rebecca Park is missing. On Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, preservation's request for tower dump area search for the tower in the location, there are some coordinates there that I'm not going to read, between the hours of 1900 and 2200 on November 3rd, 2025, were submitted to T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon Wireless. Detective Lieutenant Piskor had contacted Cortney Bartholomew about another interview. Bartholomew was reluctant to come in, suggesting that Deputy Reed's interview with her had been thorough, but eventually agreed. On Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, at 13:49, Detective Lieutenant Piskor conducted a recorded interview with Cortney Bartholomew. Initially, some background on Cortney and her biological children raised by the Park family is established. Cortney then reports how Rebecca and Richard Fowler were initially dating, and they broke up. A relationship between herself and Rich then commences. Cortney reports that she was planning to divorce Bradley. Cortney then became pregnant and was unsure who the father might be, Bradley or Richard. Because of this, she stopped her divorce approximately 2 weeks before the court date for the divorce. Cortney reports that Rich showed up at her house with the intention of shooting Bradley Bartholomew. After Cortney rejected Rich, he resumed his relationship with Rebecca Park. Cortney also reported that Rich had returned to her residence and raped her forcefully, causing her to have a miscarriage of the baby she was carrying. A report of the incident was made with the sheriff's office. However, Cortney said Rich was not charged. Cortney identified that she was connected or concerned for Rebecca, as she was aware of how abusive and aggressive Richard Fowler could be and has encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich. When Detective Lieutenant Piskor asked about things leading up to the weekend, Cortney reported on Kimberly and Rebecca coming over on Saturday, November 1st, 2025, to her residence at 30 South 21st and a half Road. Cortney told Detective Lieutenant Piskor about giving envelopes to Kimberly and Rebecca. These envelopes were later reported by both Kimberly and Rebecca to have been empty. Cortney said that she was going to give Rebecca cash and didn't want Kimberly to feel left out, so she wanted Kimberly to set up an account so she could put money in an account for her. Cortney then reports having forgotten to give Rebecca some items for her baby while at the house, so she contacted Rebecca and then brought the items to her at Richard Fowler's house Saturday night. Cortney then told Detective Lieutenant Piskor that on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, she was supposed to pick Rebecca up to have milkshakes at Dairy Queen and get Rebecca laundry soap. These plans fell through when Rebecca went to Cadillac months in hospital as she thought she was in labor. Cortney reported that she and Bradley both visited Rebecca and Rich in the hospital that day. It is confirmed that Rebecca was not in labor, had only dilated to 1, and she was released from the hospital. Bartholomew drove Rebecca and Rich home from the hospital. Cortney said that when they arrived at Fowler's, he was throwing their bags, and Rebecca had whispered to her that Rich had been acting like a real big-ass mom. Cortney offered to take her home with her, and Rebecca requested that they just meet for milkshakes tomorrow, which would have been Monday, November 3rd, 2025, and talk. On Monday, November 3rd, 2025, Rebecca said she was tired, which she confronted by telling her she looked stressed. Wonder if that's supposed to be what she confirmed, but by telling her that she looked stressed. She claimed that Rebecca was upset with Rich, identifying that he had been hounding her to obtain money to fix his truck. Cortney talked about how she encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich, but said Rebecca was afraid to leave him. Cortney said when they arrived at her house, she gave Rebecca an envelope with $2,000 cash in it, and they discussed Cortney throwing her a baby shower. She identified that Rebecca didn't want a baby shower because she was afraid that Children's Protective Services was going to take the baby. Cortney said that while they were talking, Rebecca was texting on her phone and mentioned the possibility that she had two phones. Cortney said she went to the house to get laundry soap, and that when she came back out, she said, "I noticed that she deleted something, but didn't know what it was or which phone it might have been on." Cortney said she told Rebecca that she would take her back home, but Rebecca told her to hold on. She had someone coming to get her. Cortney said she pulled out of the driveway and a car came up behind her. She identified that she didn't ask Rebecca who it was out of fear she would push her away, but Rebecca had told her she would be back. Cortney said the car had dark tinted windows. There was no plate on the car, but she could tell it was a Chevy. When questioned, that social media reporting the car had the taillights of an Impala, Cortney confirmed she was the source of that information. Cortney talked about someone Rebecca knows who has a Chrysler 300, also having similar taillights. Bartholomew didn't follow the car, as she said that it would upset Rebecca if she had. Cortney said that at about 2300 she reached out to Kimberly to get Rich's number. At about 23:30 she said she tried to call Rich, so she sent him a text that Rebecca had left with someone. Cortney confirmed that Rebecca was texting while they were together. Her next contact with Rich was Tuesday morning, and she reported telling him that she had given Rebecca $2,000. Cortney then said that Kimberly sent her the GPS location to Rebecca's phone, which she said put into her phone, and it took her right to the phone. When I asked who went and got the phone, Cortney then identified we, who was identified as Bradley and herself. It is reported that Bradley found the phone and then handed it to Cortney. Detective Lieutenant Pisgor confronted Cortney of an image she had sent to Rebecca of a check that was made out in her name for $18,000. She claimed that when her mother died, she was left money to do with as she pleased. Cortney confirmed that she sent an image of the check to Rebecca, but that she had not given the check to her. Cortney denied that there was a similar check made out to Kimberly. A statement that Cortney had tried to have this meeting prior had fallen through because she didn't have things in place that she needed to. Cortney said it was simply getting kids together at one time and was what wasn't falling into place. Excuse me. When Detective Lieutenant Pisgor confronts Cortney that the phone records for the phone that was found on the 2-track was not used to summon someone to pick her up, Cortney then identifies that there are possibly 2 other phones she uses. Cortney brings up the names of other people she thinks may be involved based on rumors, specifically that Mike Haynes and Ashley Crows were supposed to help Rebecca get away from Fowler. As Detective Lieutenant Pisgor discussed phone location records with Cortney, she confirmed that she picked Rebecca up between 1830 and 1900 and came south on South 41st and a half Road to Mackinac Trail and turned west onto East 30th and 3/4 Road to continue out to her residence on South 21st and a half Road. Location data from Rebecca Park's phone supported this route of travel. Excuse me. When Detective Lieutenant Piskor confronted Cortney with the accusations that she killed Rebecca Park, she asked, "Why the fuck would I do that?" saying that she would never hurt her daughter. During this interview, Cortney Bartholomew said she did not know where Rebecca Park was. When Cortney was asked if she had done anything to harm Rebecca Park, she again said that she would not hurt her daughter. While discussing the pickup truck, While discussing the pickup truck at her residence that was reported to never move, but had been moved recently, Cortney reported it doesn't have seats in it, but said that it was moved recently to make room to access the porch. Cortney said that Kimberly and Rebecca do not like Bradley Bartholomew. On Tuesday, November 11th, 2025 at 15:40, Detective Lieutenant Piskor conducted a recorded interview with Bradley Bartholomew. He confirmed his cellular telephone number as 231-550-9134. When asked about Rebecca, Bradley reported that they don't get along. He explained that it's due to his criminal history. He described Rebecca and Cortney's relationship as rocky. Bradley said that he was not around on Monday when Rebecca was at the house. He identified that he was at my place and described living in the woods near Henrietta and the fish hatchery. As Detective Lieutenant Piskor was attempting to confirm his presence there, Bradley said he was alone and that his phone was with Cortney, as her phone was about to be shut off. The truck at the house was discussed and identified as not having moved in years. Bradley said that he had been driving the truck up until October 21st, 2025, when the license plate expired. When asked if the seats were out of the truck, Bradley confirmed that they had been. He explained a similar explanation, that they are cleaning the truck up for Cortney's son Bentley to drive when he turned 16. When Bradley was asked when he found out that Rebecca Parks was missing, he identified it was Monday night or Tuesday morning. He again denied being at the residence. Bradley told Detective Lieutenant Piskor that on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, Cortney Bartholomew was in town and he was at the house with Bentley when Cortney texted him the location of where Rebecca's phone was. Bradley said he refused to go out there alone because I'm not being accused of anything. Bradley said that when Cortney got home, they went out together to look for the phone based on a ping that Kimberly Park had sent to Cortney. Bradley confirmed that he was the person who found Rebecca Park's cellular device on the 2-track near 30 South 21st and a half Road, and he picked it up and handed it to Cortney. Bradley said he didn't know how Rebecca's phone ended up on the trail, but suggested she walked that trail in the past. On Monday, November 24th, 2025, Cortney Bartholomew came to the sheriff's office and Detective Lieutenant Piskor began a recorded interview with her. There is a discussion about the TikTok live conversations. I asked Cortney about a cellular device that a bounty hunter dropped off at the Clare City Police Department. She identified this phone was provided by Kimberly. During this meeting, I asked Cortney about Kimberly's personal property in her vehicle. She confirmed that she was in possession of items that belonged to Kimberly. However, she didn't want to leave the items with me to return to Kimberly. On Monday, November 24th, 2025, Bradley Bartholomew was interviewed by Detective Lieutenant Tim Hellion at the Michigan State Police Crime Laboratory in Grayling. During his interview, Bradley reported that he is trying to protect Kimberly Park. He said that Kimberly took Rebecca down a 2-track behind the house. As he stated, "I believe she's dead." Bradley Bartholomew said to Detective Lieutenant Tim Helen, I'm just going to say Helen because I don't know, that he was present during a dinner with Cortney Bartholomew, Rebecca Park, and Kimberly Park on Saturday, November 1st, 2025, at 30 South 21st and a half Road. During this time, Bradley said that Kimberly had a private conversation with him, asking about the 2 tracks behind the house, and that Kimberly stated she needed to get Rebecca out of the picture. On Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, At 14:16, Wexford County Central Dispatch received a 911 call from Courtney Letterman from telephone number 231-729-0413, stating that she had found a body covered with leaves that looks gutted. The location of the body was approximately 2.5 miles in a straight line west of 30 South 21st and a half Road in Antioch Township of Wexford County on Forest Service Road 9784. Wexford County Deputy Jacob Koponen responded to the area, observed the remains, and reported the deceased female had a tattoo above the left eye. Koponen reported that the abdomen area of the body appeared to have been cut open. The tattoo located above the left eye is consistent with Michigan driver's license images of Rebecca K. Park. Michigan State Police Trooper Cody Campbell was inside the residence at 30 South 21st and a half Road on Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, securing the residence until the Michigan State Police Crime Laboratory personnel could search the home based on a search warrant that had been authorized on that date. While in the presence of Courtney Bartholomew and Bradley Bartholomew, Courtney and Bradley were discussing amongst themselves, loud enough for Trooper Campbell to hear. Courtney mentioned to Bradley that the seat cover from the Ford F-150 in the driveway had recently been burned and disposed of due to something having been spilt on them. The search warrant was served on T-Mobile for Bradley Bartholomew's known cell phone number, 231-550-9134. The records that were produced pursuant to the search warrant showed Bradley Bartholomew's device active in the area of 30 South 21st and a half Road on November 3rd, 2025. Further, these records show device movement and lingering in the areas consistent with where Bradley and Courtney reported recovering Rebecca Park's cellular device, where her body was discovered on November 25th, 2025, on several occasions on Monday, November 3rd, 2025, in the evening hours. These records take place after the records obtained from Rebecca Park's phone and network demonstrated her arriving in the area of 30 South 21st and a half Road, November 3rd, 2025, shortly after 1900. Cellbrite extraction location at the residence of 30 South 21st and a half Road at 1916. Additionally, records from Rebecca Park's phone extraction show locations consistent with the reported location of recovery of the device. A search warrant was served on Verizon for Courtney Bartholomew's known telephone number, 231-429-2895. The records that were produced pursuant to the search warrant show Courtney Bartholomew in the area of 30 South 21st and a half Road, and both Bradley and Courtney's records show them in communication with one another shortly after her arrival with Rebecca Park at 30 South 21st and a half Road. Additionally, Courtney Bartholomew's phone records have activity consistent with her interview statements that she traveled to pick up Rebecca up at Richard Fowler's residence at 1531 North 41st and a half Road, then transporting to her house at 30 South 21st and a half Road. Bradley Bartholomew's call detail records show the following calls of investigative interest. 18:12:56, a 2-minute, 2-second outgoing call from Bradley to Courtney. 19:26:55, 57-second call from Bradley to Courtney. 19:33:39, a 54-second call from Bradley to Courtney. At the time of the call at 18:12:56, device network records show Brad and Courtney's devices near the area of 30 South 21st and a half Road, and this precedes the activity of Rebecca's device coming into the area of 30 South 21st and a half Road. Affiant is aware the calls at 19:29:55 and 19:33:39 again show Brad and Courtney's devices in the area near 30 South 21st and a half Road after Rebecca's device records show her arrival in the same area. Sorry. An autopsy was conducted at Western Michigan University by Dr. Christine James and was attended by Deputy Alexis Howard. There were 6 sharp force wounds in Rebecca's back, 2 to the right upper arm, 1 to the left trapezius area, 2 to the neck, and at least 2 to the face. The right side of the face also had a laceration and an irregular wound to the cheek of unknown etiology. The wounds of the neck are described as superficial and do not penetrate muscle or harm any vasculature. Most of the wounds to the torso are contained in soft tissue. 1 to the back enters the left pleural space but misses the lung. 1 to the right of the back enters the right pleural space and does penetrate the right upper ling, I think that's supposed to say lung, lobe, and caused a large pneumothorax. All major vessels are intact. Rebecca Park's abdomen had incised wounds. The placenta was hanging from the open abdominal wound with attached umbilical cord, and the fetus was absent. The abdomen incision transcended the colon and small bowel. Dr. James reported that Rebecca Park's stomach contained copious amounts of blue-green chalky residue. There was also a thin film of subdural blood over the left cerebral hemisphere, with focal subdural on the right parietal area. However, there was no subscapular or subgaleal hemorrhage, nor skull fracture is noted. The OA joint had marked laxity, but a posterior neck dissection showed no soft tissue hemorrhage. On Sunday, November 30th, 2025, a second search warrant was obtained from Bradley and Cortney Bartholomew's residence at 30 South and a half, 21st and a half Road. Search warrants to seize the 2007 Ford Escape 4-door SUV, red in color, with a VIN of, I'm not going to read that, and a temporary Michigan registration plate of, I'm not going to read that, registered to Cortney Bartholomew, and the 1992 Ford F-150 pickup truck, white in color, with a VIN, not reading it, with a Michigan registration of, not reading it, and have them towed to the Wexford County Sheriff's Office to be processed by Michigan State Police laboratory technicians were also obtained. The search warrants were served, and Bradley and Cortney Bartholomew were both taken into custody and transported to the Wexford County Sheriff's Office. On Sunday, November 30th at 1541, Piskor and Hackman conducted a recorded interview with Bradley Bartholomew. Bradley was read his Miranda rights from a Wexford County Miranda warning card. He confirmed his understanding of the rights explained to him, and he agreed to speak with the detectives at the time. Bradley reported his knowledge that Cortney went to get Rebecca. They came to the house to get Tide Pods, and they were supposed to get ice cream. Bradley said that he was at the house with Bentley. He admitted that he had lied during his first interview about being at the residence because of his sex offender registry status. Bradley is told that SOR violations are small in comparison to a homicide, and he says that at that time he didn't know this was a homicide. He reported that Cortney had backed out of the driveway in the Ford Escape, and then she came back. He says that at that time he had no idea where Rebecca was. He said that he knew Cortney left with the white Ford and then came back. He reported that Cortney had told him that she and Rich Fowler were in the white Ford, and they had a disagreement, and there was blood on the dash. Cortney asked Bradley to clean it up, which he reported that he went out and wiped it down. He said that he didn't see any blood on the floor on the seats, just blood spattered on the dash. He described that later there was white paint on the seats, and Cortney asked him to remove the seat covers, which he confirmed he did. He said he was unsure what she did with them, if they were thrown in the burn barrel or in the trash. Next, he said that Cortney was talking to him about how she and Rich did something horrible, but she wouldn't tell him. He claimed that once the story of Rebecca came out of her being missing, he began to put 2 and 2 together. Bradley reported that Cortney threatened that if he said anything, she'd make his life hell. Bradley identified that Cortney had tried to stab him with scissors in the past and charged with the assault, but the case was dismissed. Bradley clarified that Cortney had told him about something bad happening 5 or 6 days after Rebecca was missing, but he claimed he wasn't sure what the bad thing that had been done was. When asked about the story about the baby in the NICU at DeVos, Bradley identified that she was supposedly adopting a baby, but he didn't see how she could, due to his status as a sexual offender. Bradley said that Cortney was alone when she got into the white Ford and left north on South 21st and a half Road, and that she returned approximately 15 minutes later. He stated that he had sent a text to Cortney to see if she needed him to come outside for anything, and she responded in the affirmative. It was now that he said that Cortney reported getting into a fight with Rich. Bradley said that he never observed Rich on this date and that he did not observe any injury to Cortney. Returning to the something bad topic, Bradley was asked to continue that topic. He identified that Cortney is all over TikTok and that Kimberly was over to use Escape to deliver newspapers. He confirmed that Kimberly left personal items in the Escape and identified that she did it all the time. Piskor asked about anything else that Bradley wanted to know before drilling down questions began. He said that Cortney was constantly talking to Rich. He agreed that she was also constantly talking to Kimberly. He reported he can't hear the conversations as they are all taking place by text. He only knows it's them because he sees their names on her phone. Bradley is then confronted with records from carriers, specifically T-Mobile and Verizon. He asked about Cortney's phone that she had previously said was no longer going to have service. Bradley identified that she had service restored, but was aware that she had conducted a factory reset on the phone. He was notified that a factory reset does not prevent access to records that are maintained by the carrier. Bradley said that he had Cortney's phone on Monday, November 3rd, 2025. It is pointed out that there are phone calls between both the phone he uses and the one that Cortney uses while Rebecca is at the house. He passes these as simple calls, checking on her comings and goings. He reports that he hasn't driven the truck since he parked it and that it only had enough gas to get to the gas station. Piskor confronted Bradley's statement about the blood in the truck, confirming his knowledge that the truck had been seized. Identifying if there is any blood of Rebecca's found in the truck, there will be a big problem. Bradley is confronted if he thought Cortney had been lying to him about what went on, and he says he does. He suggests he can't see Cortney and Rich being together like that, as they haven't talked in over 2 years. Bradley confirmed that there are no $18,000 checks. He did not know why Cortney sent images of the checks. He did say that he spoke with Kimberly on Saturday, November 1st, 2025, after their dinner that night had ended. He said she was asking about the 2-track behind the house. He denied that Kimberly told him that she needed to get Rebecca out of the picture. He identified that Kimberly had said this to Rich Fowler, who identified as Cortney's cousin. Rich Fisher, who he identified as Cortney's cousin. Detective Sergeant Hackman confronted that this is not what Rich Fisher told him when he interviewed him personally. Bradley reported that Kimberly is jealous of Rebecca and that he is aware that Kimberly has had a relationship with Rich in the past. Bradley reported being upset when Kimberly was on the internet saying that he and Cortney were responsible for making a statement that he doesn't understand how anyone could do that to a pregnant woman. He answered that he believes that Cortney and Rich would be capable of doing something such as this. When asked for what purpose, he gave different possibilities. Bradley agreed that he believes Cortney is capable of slicing open her own flesh and blood and taking a baby out. He agreed that Cortney is obsessed with wanting another baby in her care and custody. He also agreed that it was a good possibility she could attack Rebecca and cut the baby out of her. Pisker asked if he remembered the Sunday that Rebecca was in the hospital, Cortney saying or texting, "Don't you dare have this baby in the hospital." And Bradley remembered somebody saying it, but not who was saying it. Bradley confirmed going to Fowler's house on Saturday to take gifts to Rebecca that Cortney forgot to give her at the house earlier that day. While discussing being upset that Kimberly had accused him of being involved, Pisker asked why he hadn't called him, and Bradley said that Cortney had threatened him that she didn't want him involved. His explanation was that she doesn't want to get incriminated or himself incriminated. Bradley began to say that he thinks Cortney has more to do with this than what she wants to claim. He said all the evidence is pointing to her. He suggests that he believes all the evidence would be in the white Ford. The blood he observed inside the truck is discussed and described. Bradley said that he removed the original seat coverings about a week and a half after Rebecca went missing because it had got white paint on it. When asked what he thought happened, Bradley responded he thought Cortney was jealous of Rebecca. He agrees that Cortney would like to have another child. He also thinks that Rich wants to get back into a relationship with Cortney. Bradley agrees that he thinks that Cortney could point the finger at him as being responsible when we interview him. When Bradley is confronted with Cortney being in possession of a cellular device with the 231-550-9134 number when she went to pick up Rebecca, he claims he can't say she possessed it, but it was there at the house, and he had it to call her. He then confirms that Cortney did not have the phone when she went to Fowler's to pick up Rebecca. He reported she got that phone when she came back from getting the white Ford. Whoever wrote this did not do a very good job, I'm just saying. Pisker asked Bradley what else he wanted us to know about, and he told us that Cortney has scalpels in her bedside stand, describing those as disposable scalpels for lancing cellulitis. Bradley doesn't remember going anywhere on the morning of Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, other than to Fowler's to give him Rebecca's phone. Bradley confirmed that he had come to the hospital on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, to bring Cortney her wheelchair, and that he was driving the white Ford pickup truck while Cortney was there with the Ford Escape. He did not ride back to Manton with Cortney when she drove Rebecca and Richard home. Bradley begins to show some emotion about the possible outcome of this investigation. On Sunday, November 30th, 2025 at 1714, Pisker and Voss conducted a recorded interview with Cortney Bartholomew. Cortney was read her Miranda rights from a Wexford County Miranda warning card. She confirmed her understanding of the rights explained to her, and she agreed to speak with the detective at the time. Cortney identified that at the dinner at her house on Saturday, November 1st, 2025, it was herself, Rebecca, Kimberly, Bentley, and that Brad was hiding in the truck. Pisker notified Cortney that this is a homicide investigation and the lies must stop, and if she lies, more charges can be brought. Cortney reported that Bradley is hiding in the truck because the girls won't come in if he is around because they don't like him. She reported that the dinner ended around 1900 to 1930. The next thing that happened was she called Rebecca about the items she forgot to get her, and that she and Bradley went to Fowler's to drop the items off. At the time, they were in the Ford Escape. On Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, she was supposed to pick Rebecca up and wait around until 1830, and Rebecca called to say she was on her way to the hospital. She described the events at the hospital as she had previously. Bradley brought Cortney her wheelchair to the hospital. Bradley was driving the white Ford F-150, and she explained how he stopped at the Meyer gas station. At the Meyer gas station to get gas for the truck while she drove Rebecca and Richard home. Cortney wanted to know if Bradley could hear her, and she was told he could not. She reported talking to Rebecca Sunday night about getting shakes on Monday. She said that Rebecca asked her about the $2,000 and said that Rich was upset about something. Cortney confirmed the trip to Fowler's house on Saturday after the dinner to drop the items off for Rebecca. When Pisker asked Cortney why she wanted to know if Bradley could hear her, she suggested the need to back up, saying she thinks she needs immunity. Pisker notified Cortney that the prosecutor is the person who can give immunity. Cortney suggests that we get the prosecutor here, and Pisker says she will want to know what she has. Cortney said she will give us where the knife is and where the baby is, and she will give it all to us. When Pisker confronts Cortney that she has guilty knowledge, she responds that she has been threatened, her child has been threatened, her home has been threatened, and she is done. Cortney renews her request for immunity and then asks for witness protection. Voss explains that we can't offer immunity. Pisker asks Cortney if the baby is alive, and she shakes her head in the negative. Voss asks Cortney about her prior statement that Bradley hides in the truck. He asks where he hides, and she identified in the cab. She describes it as a single cab truck, and he lays on the seat. Cortney reported that Bradley had put $15 worth of gas in the truck when he was at Meijer on Sunday night. Cortney asked if Bradley confessed. Voss reported he'd told us a lot of stuff. Cortney confirmed that Bradley is using the phone with the number 550 and her phone is the 429 phone. She confirms that she had the 429 phone on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday that Rebecca disappeared. She said her phone was taken on Monday night and she was told to go back in the house. Cortney said her phone was taken at about 20:30. She renewed her request to contact the prosecutor. Voss again told her we need to know what she knows to take it to the prosecutor. When he suggests an example that she will even tell us where the baby is, she interrupts and says, in the garbage, in a blue cooler. He asked where. She reported, in the GFL. Cortney says, he said he put him in a black bag. The cooler's gone. The cooler is Brad's work cooler, adding, he put him inside the cooler and drove him up and down the road looking for a GFL that wasn't mine. When Voss asked why, Cortney reported that it was related to Bradley going to jail last year when Fowler turned him in. She explained that it's all in retaliation. She identified the night when they went home after their last interview. She confronted him about his examination and his failure. Voss asked Cortney which vehicle he used to get rid of the body, and she identified her white truck. She is then asked how he got her in a position to kill her. She explained how she pulled into her driveway. She had notified him she was on their road. She explained that she got to the house and talked to Rebecca for a few minutes, and Bradley walked up and pulled her out and said, I want to talk to you. Cortney described that the white truck was sitting out by the road and explained that she didn't think anything of it, Brad was supposed to be her stepdad. Cortney wanted to know where they were going, and that Brad told her to take her ass in the house and on don't worry about it. She said she went into the house because she didn't think that he would hurt her. Bradley is reported to have returned to the house at about 22:30 and told her that he had taken Rebecca home. Cortney confronted him that he had not, and he told her that he had, and that she would call her in the morning. Cortney asked him for her phone, which she reported he told her was out in the shed, and he went to get it. She said when he came back in the house, he said, yeah, she didn't go home. Instead, telling Cortney that he took her to a house, but when she asked him to take her there, he just told her that Rebecca said to him that she didn't want anything to do with her, Cortney. Cortney reported calling Rich to tell him to ask her back ASAP, and that while Brad was watching her. She told Rich that, dude, your old lady left with some guy, or Bradley would backhand her. Cortney confirmed for Pisker that the story about the black car was made up and never happened. Asking her to continue, she reported Kimberly sending her coordinates to Rebecca's phone and asking Bradley why her daughter's phone would be across the road, and his response was, "I don't fucking know." She asked Bradley to take her to the phone and said he took her right to it. She said that the phone was exactly where the coordinates is. She said it was out in the open and it appeared that someone had just set it down. They took the phone directly to Rich's, but before their arrival, she said that Bradley told her, "I'm telling you right fucking now, don't say a fucking word." Kimberly got the phone from Rich, and Cortney said or reported that Kimberly had called her and said she was taking the phone to the cops. She said Kimberly called her at 2100 on Tuesday night to tell her this. When asked to continue, Cortney identified that in her second to last drawer in her bedstand, she has razor knives that she uses to nick open her cellulite so they will drain. She reported that one was gone, which she said she knew because she counted them due to a teenage boy living in their house. Cortney agreed the knives are like scalpels. When she confronted Bradley about the missing knife, she answered he didn't say anything then. Pisker confronted her that she used the word them means he must have said something later, and she reported it. It was after her body was found. Cortney said she kept asking Bradley where her daughter was, saying he answered, "You'll find out soon enough." She goes on to report that after returning from his last interview, he told her about Kimmy was asking about woods behind the house to go trail riding. Cortney said that Kimberly will not talk to Bradley ever alone. She reported trying to get Rich Fisher to take Kimberly's bag to her. She said that Bradley said, "You can't have that. You're not taking her bag." He said, "Nobody's taking this bag." Cortney said she realizes Kimberly's wallet is in the bag, questioning why he would want her wallet. Pisker confronted Cortney that he had asked her for Kimberly's property while she was at the sheriff's office on Tuesday, and that she refused. She explained that she was told not to, suggesting she didn't want to get her ass beat. She reported that on Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, in the morning, Bradley took the truck and went west on West 26th Road and was gone for about 20 minutes. She said when Bradley came back, she asked him if he had hurt her daughter, and he told her, "No, I didn't hurt her." Cortney said that was the same day Rebecca's body was found. Cortney said that on Wednesday, November 26, 2025, in the morning, she confronted Bradley and asked him what he did. She reported he told her, "I'm going to tell you once, and I'm going to tell you, and you're going to fucking drop it, and you're going to shut the fuck up." He's like, "I'm the reason your fucking daughter's not here, that your life is upside down right now." When she asked him why, she said Bradley said, "Rich fucked with the wrong motherfucker." She agrees this is all a revenge plot. Cortney said that when she asked him what he did to her daughter, Bradley said, "I slit her fucking throat. Bitch deserved it." She goes on to say that he said Rich deserved it too, and it just happened to be your daughter that's going to pay for it. Cortney said when she asked about her grandson, she said Bradley said, "Oh, I stuck him in a cooler, stuck him in a trash bag, threw him in the trash." Pisker asked Cortney that if Bradley is paying Rich back, why cut the baby out? And she said because if he would have left the baby in there and had someone found her before, he would have survived, he would have thought. Cortney was asked why not just cut the baby out and kill it? Why take it? And she said that he told her the baby wasn't breathing when he pulled him out. Again, she was asked, why'd he take it? Now she answers it was because he didn't want Rich to see they were together. She admitted she didn't know what that meant. When asked about where the baby is now, Cortney said that he put it in a blue cooler in a trash bag and into a GFL container. She confirms that she is talking about a residential GFL trash receptacle. Cortney said she was never at the location where the body was found. because he wouldn't let her. She doesn't know how many times he went to the location. When asked if she was killed at the location she was found or at the end of her driveway, she answers that she doesn't know, but said it wasn't in her driveway because he pulled away quickly with her. Cortney said that he walked out of his truck and not the house to get her out of the truck, confirming that it was from the escape and into the F-150. Piska reminded Cortney that she knew where the knife was at. She said he threw it in a dumpster at Cadillac Shores. When asked when he had done that, she first announced that it was her hunting knife. She said it was probably like a week after that the knife was put in the dumpster. She did not know what happened to the disposable scalpel, adding she had no clue and wished she knew. Voss asked Cortney what she was looking for in an immunity agreement, what she was afraid of, and then confronted her that she had provided a lot of misinformation to the police. She reassured us that she would cooperate the whole way. Pisker pointed out her obstruction to the investigation, and she agrees. When asked about the seat covers, Cortney said Bradley burned them. She also said that Bradley went out and cleaned the truck, specifically mentioning the dash. She described that the cloth was burned and the bucket was taken back into the house. Cortney didn't think the floor in the truck was cleaned. Cortney was asked about the Kimmy stuff, and she suggested that Kimberly doesn't know anything. She was just trying to feel important. Voss confronted Cortney that she was the person who told us recently that Kimberly was in the black car. She reported that Bradley came up with the story about Kimberly. Cortney said she knew that Kimberly told us that she hit her, and hid her body. When asked how she knows that Kimberly told us this, Cortney said that she told Ashley and reported Ashley is Rich's baby mama. Ashley Crows has her child with Richard Fowler. Cortney said that all that Kimberly did was lie to the police and had no involvement. She also said that Rich Fowler was also not involved, but did say that she didn't know if he deleted anything from Rebecca's phone or not. Pisker asked about a text message about not allowing anyone from the state of Michigan on her property, and Rebecca saying they should talk about that so she is clear on what that means. Cortney denied sending such a message. Voss asked when she first learned what had actually happened, and she said it was after the body was found. Pisker then pointed out she could have covered herself if she had cooperated on Monday at Mount Pleasant. Voss asked how Bradley told her how he killed Rebecca, and she said, he told me that he slit her fucking throat. When he asked how she told him that he cut the baby out, she said, he had one of my scalpels. She denied that he said how he did that, then said, he just said that I cut him out. That was it. That was all he said. Voss asks about the baby getting cut out, being put in a garbage bag and put into a blue cooler, and what he said about that. She said that he just said he took him, put him in a garbage bag, stuffed him in a cooler, and threw him in a trash dumpster. She knows that it was that specific cooler because his work cooler is gone. She shows the size as a lunchbox-sized cooler and described it as a soft-sided cooler with a hard plastic inside to keep the side supported, and it has a black strap. Cortney reported the garbage bags came from her house, and she knows this because she counts her garbage bags, and she noticed that 2 of her bags are gone. Who the hell counts their garbage bags? Anyway, the hunting knife is described by Cortney as being green, having a serrated blade on one side and a flat blade on the other side, and is a fixed blade, not a folding knife. She is sure that Bradley used the knife. The knife was purchased at Walmart within the last year, and she provided a description of it. When asked if she noticed any items missing out of Kimberly's purse, she didn't report any. Cortney denied that Bentley knows anything. We took a break and moved Cortney to another room. On Sunday, November 30th, 2025 at 18:27, Voss and I began a second recorded interview with Bradley Bartholomew. We reminded Bradley that the rights we discussed earlier still apply, and he agreed he's still good with it. Pisker notified Bradley that Cortney was putting it all on him. He broke down details that Cortney had provided. Pisker explains how the investigation has come down to involving himself and Cortney. Voss explains how we believe it went down and how evidence will support the investigation. An appeal to Bradley was made that he needed to tell the truth. Bradley is confronted with how much gas he put in the truck when he was at Meyer on Sunday after leaving the hospital, and he reported $5. When asked about information he feels we should know that we haven't already discussed, Bradley reports that he knows his lunch cooler is missing and describes it as being blue, and he thinks it's an Oregon Trail brand. He said it's big enough to hold an 8-pack of pop bottles. His description of the cooler is basically the same as Cortney's. He estimates the cooler has been missing for 2.5 weeks. Bradley is not aware of Cortney counting their garbage bags because of Bentley's use of them. We confront Bradley that she is blaming him for dumping the body and putting the fetus in his lunchbox. It's explained that she is attempting to place the blame on him. Bradley is confronted with a statement he made in his first interview that Rebecca was stabbed. Voss asks him about the statement again and how he knows she was stabbed. Pisker pointed out that both he and Cortney have reported on the scalpel and that you don't need to make a stabbing motion with a scalpel to slice someone open. It is pointed out that Cortney said he's threatening her, including in the parking lot prior to them leaving for their first interviews on Monday. It is also shared with him that she identified that it was revenge for Fowler turning him in last year on his sexual offender violation, to which he responded, "That's bullshit." It's explained that what Cortney had said about why the baby was cut out of Rebecca during a revenge murder doesn't make sense. We remind him of the Nick Yu story and her attempt to get custody of Kimberly and Rebecca's children. Bradley begins to tell us, "I'm sure Cortney stabbed her because she did have a hunting knife." He reported the case for the knife went into the trash bin and thinks it might still be in the bin. He had identified that the knife went into the trash at Cadillac Shores. He reports that Cortney is the one who cut the baby out of Rebecca. He confirms that he witnessed this and it had taken place right where she is laying out on the trails behind the house. He confirms that is the reason he told an officer to check the trails behind the house. He reported that he knew Rebecca had a bunch of leaves on her because Cortney buried her in leaves where she was found. Bradley confirmed that a scalpel from the bedroom was used. When he was asked if the baby was alive when he cut it out, he responded no. He confirmed that it was just the two of them that were present. When Voss asked when she stabbed her, where did she stab her, and Bradley said in the truck. When asked what location on Rebecca's body had Cortney stabbed her, he responded he didn't know as he jumped out of the truck. Bradley reported that Rebecca had gotten into the white truck voluntarily. He confirmed that the plan to get the Tide Pods was legitimate, and he was unaware that the plan was to stab her. Bradley denied that there was a plan of this. While in the pickup, Bradley said he was driving, Cortney was in the passenger seat, and Rebecca was in the middle. He claimed not to know what Cortney had told Rebecca to get her in the truck. Initially, Bradley was in the house with Bentley, and he said he went outside to get away from everything so he didn't have to worry about Rebecca coming in. He denied getting a phone call from Cortney that they were in the driveway. When he got outside, Cortney and Rebecca were in the Escape, and Cortney had said she blew out a tire on the Escape, so they got into the truck. From here, they get on the trail to the woods because the truck doesn't have a valid plate. Bradley said that Cortney was mad because Rebecca was always bad-mouthing her and wouldn't give her a chance to be a mom. Bradley confirmed that Cortney wanted the baby for herself. Despite Cortney wanting the baby, Bradley said it was unrealistic to expect that Cortney would be allowed to adopt the baby. Bradley described that the actual stabbing began when Cortney just grabbed a knife and started stabbing at her. The knife had been down on Cortney's right. He said she stabbed her in the chest as far as he knew, but she said he jumped out of the truck when Cortney started swinging, so he wasn't sure. Bradley knew they were on the trail and said he could take officers to the scene. Voss asked at what point did they realize that Rebecca is dead, and he identified that it was after Cortney cut the baby out of her. He said that Cortney tried CPR on the baby. Bradley said that Rebecca was not in the truck when Cortney cut the baby out of her. He said that Cortney tricked her to get her out of the truck and made her start walking after she had already been stabbed. Rebecca walked behind the truck, but is unable to run due to her pregnancy. Voss asked what Cortney did to kill Rebecca. He explained that Cortney had Rebecca lay down, and she was still alive, and she cut the baby out of her. Bradley said he was beside the trail, telling Cortney that she doesn't need to do that. That's not right. They do not have the bag or the cooler that the baby is eventually put in at this time. Now the baby is cut out. Bradley said they just left Rebecca there. He had identified that he couldn't tell if she was dead or not. Cortney decided that they should head to the house, and Cortney is holding the baby on her lap as Bradley drives. Bradley said the baby never took a breath, and he never heard the baby cry. It took about 5 minutes to get back to the house. Bradley stated that Cortney took the baby into the house and into her bedroom where she's trying to perform CPR on the baby, which is on a towel on the bed. He also said he tried to perform CPR on the baby by doing chest compressions and breathing into his mouth. He said this went on for about 15 minutes after they arrived home. Bradley reported that Cortney went into the kitchen, got a garbage bag, and placed the baby in the garbage bag and went outside with the baby. He identified that the cooler was in the bed of the white truck, and he saw the baby go into the cooler. He explained that the baby went into the cooler because the cooler can be zipped up and it had the baby in it, and dispose of the cooler and not be seen. Bradley said that the same night he is with Cortney, who is now driving the truck, and they went and disposed of the knife first, and they put the baby in a GFL tote at a house north of their residence where there had been some logging done recently. Bradley denied burning the seat covers from the truck and said Cortney burned them. He did say he cleaned inside of the truck using a gray bucket and some bleach and water. He denied cleaning the floor and believes there will be blood on the floor of the truck. Bradley denied placing the phone on the 2-track, but again said he found the phone on the 2-track. He did agree that he had the 550 phone on his person on Monday, November 3rd, 2025. Voss confronts Bradley that if Cortney told him to do this, we want him to tell us now. He denies that he stabbed Rebecca. When Pisker asked Bradley about the card found with Rebecca, he said that he didn't know anything about it and couldn't recall what it was, but knew it was on social media. He did not see a card when he left the area. He also did not see another weapon or tool when he was at the scene or anything. Bradley doesn't know if anyone had been to the scene where Rebecca's body was since she was killed, and he denied that he had been back to the scene. When Bradley was asked about Rebecca not having shoes on, he appeared surprised by that. Bradley gives a description of where Rebecca's body was in relation to the trail and where things occurred. He denied that Cortney had asked him to position the truck so the truck lights would assist. He said the light shining around the side of the front of the truck was enough illumination for Cortney to get the baby out. When he left, the body was still on the same hill. Cortney covered Rebecca with leaves but denied branches were placed on her. At the time, the baby was on a towel next to Cortney. Questioning the presence of a towel, Bradley is asked if he thinks Cortney planned this, and he said, I have a feeling she did, but never told him of a plan. Bradley did not see Cortney place a towel or a hunting knife in the truck. Using a Wexford County map, Bradley showed the route of travel he took and approximately where they were. He agreed he could take officers out and show them where things had taken place on Monday, November 3rd, 2025. While discussing if there was any blood on any of the clothing he or Cortney had been wearing that night, he identified that when they got home, Cortney changed into a nightgown. Previously, he had said that they had gone out and disposed of the baby and the knife that night. Now, when asking about this, Bradley said that the baby stayed in the cooler that night on the back porch. He now reported it was Wednesday, November 5th, 2025, when the items were placed in the dumpsters, specifically because Thursday is garbage day. He said that it was Cortney who placed the cooler with the baby into the garbage tote. They were in the escape when they discarded the knife and the baby. Bradley said one of the things that he believes Cortney said after she couldn't revive the baby was, "The bitch killed my baby." Bradley reported that he watched Cortney. The knife was placed in the glove box of the Ford Escape, and he believes that there will likely be blood located in the glove box. On Sunday, November 30th, 2025, at 20:50, Voss and I began a second recorded interview with Cortney Bartholomew. As she enters the interview room, Cortney reports she's ready to go home. When it's pointed out that she's saying it's all Bradley, when asked what she thinks Bradley has been saying, she reported that he's probably saying it's both of them, and we confirm her statement and say that we know they are both present. Cortney denies that she wanted the baby for herself. She admitted that Bradley brought the baby to the house and told her that the baby was not breathing. Cortney said she told him to call 911, but Bradley said they weren't going to do that, or they weren't doing that. She denied getting involved and said it was because she has Bentley and she can't put herself in a position like that. Cortney reported that the day the drones were flying around, the baby was in the metal shed out in the back. Cortney said she knew that Bradley was going to try to pin this on her because he had told her, "Bitch, I'll take you down with me." Cortney told us that Bentley can prove she was home on the 3rd. Cortney is confronted with her explanation that Rebecca willingly got into the truck with Bradley to go for a ride, that he then murdered her and cut the fetus out. When confronted with cellular telephone data and location data records, Cortney announces that Bradley had taken her phone so she couldn't call the police. Cortney is confronted with her version of events being difficult to believe. Eventually, Cortney said she's going to tell us what happened. Brad took her. He brought the baby back. I tried. I didn't. I couldn't. I tried. I tried to save my grandson and began to cry. Boss asked how Bradley took Rebecca. Cortney said he pulled her out of the car and she got into the truck. Cortney admits that she told Rebecca she was going to come with her. She places herself in the truck on the passenger side. Rebecca's in the middle and Bradley's driving. Bradley has the knife, according to her. From the house, they drove to where Bradley ended up stabbing Rebecca. She claimed not to know Rebecca was going to die that night. Cortney places Bradley across South 21st and a half Road from their house as she is arriving with Rebecca. Cortney admits she knows something is going to go down because Bradley is on foot across the road waiting for them to arrive. She reported that Bradley approached the vehicle by just walking up on her side, grabbed Rebecca by the arm, and got her out of the Escape, and she willingly gets into the pickup to go for a ride after he told Rebecca, "Your mom's going with us." From the house, they drive to where Rebecca gets stabbed. Cortney said that Bradley told Rebecca to get out of the truck while Cortney stayed inside. Rebecca is taken to the rear of the truck where Bradley stabbed her. At first, she said she assumed that he stabbed Rebecca because he came back with a knife all bloody. When Voss asked Cortney, "At what point did you cut the baby out of Rebecca?" she answered, "I didn't. He did, and he handed him to me." Cortney also said the baby wasn't breathing and she didn't hear him cry. Cortney claimed to have never gotten out of the truck because she didn't have her crutches or her wheelchair. She again claimed that this was a revenge plot because she had a sexual relationship with Rich and because Rich got Bradley put in jail. She claimed that Bradley wanted to hurt Rich. When confronted with the report that she stabbed Rebecca while driving down the road, Cortney denied it. When asked how all the blood got in the truck, she answered that it was from the knife, then suggested that Rebecca got back into the truck. Eventually, Cortney admitted that she cut the baby out of Rebecca in an attempt to save him so she could take him to Rich. When she cut the baby out, Cortney said said that Rebecca was still conscious and Bradley was holding the knife to her throat. She told Rebecca to lay back. Your baby is going to die. Cortney denied that Rebecca had been stabbed while in the truck. Revisiting the driveway, Voss asked if Bradley held the knife to her throat to get her into the truck, and Cortney nodded her head in the affirmative. While in the truck, Bradley put the knife down by his left side. During the ride, Voss asked what is said to Rebecca, and Cortney said she told her everything is going to be okay. Cortney said she promised that Bradley wasn't going to hurt her. When they got back to the area where this happens, Bradley pulled Rebecca out of the truck and he spun her around and stabbed her in the back 4 or 5 times. Bradley brings Rebecca to her side of the truck and is sitting next to the door, and Bradley ordered Rebecca to lay back. Cortney said she told Rebecca that if she doesn't lay back, her baby's going to die. Cortney looked in the truck and saw the scalpel, so she hurried up and did it, but her grandson wasn't breathing. Cortney said she started her incision along the belly, and Bradley told her to cut downward. It would be easier. Cortney reported that Rebecca is still talking at this time, telling her to hurry up and asking if he's out. She said she told Rebecca he was about out, and that Rebecca told her to save him. When she got the baby out, Cortney said she had dental floss from the dash that she had put in her pocket because she knew she would have to tie off the umbilical cord. She reported tying off the umbilical cord the best she could. Once the baby was out, she said that Bradley slit Rebecca's throat with a knife. Next, she said that Bradley used a cord from a snowplow on the truck to hook her body to the truck, and he pulled Rebecca down the bank, maybe 20 feet, pulling her back off the road. She said he then covered her with leaves. Cortney said the towel was in the truck already, but she didn't know how the scalpel got in the truck. Cortney talked about how she would come to the sheriff's office if she had been able to give the baby to Rich to report what happened. Discussing this, she claimed that since this happened, she hasn't been able to get away from Bradley. When reminded that on Monday she was in Mount Pleasant and he was in Grayling, she could have said something then. Cortney confirmed that after she was stabbed, Rebecca never got back into the truck. She was asked how the blood got into the truck, and Cortney reported that it was from the umbilical cord making blood fly all over. Cortney said she never stabbed Rebecca. She was only responsible for trying to save her grandson. When asked if she thought she should have tried to save her daughter, Cortney said she couldn't. When asked how many times she'd talked to Bradley on the ride to her house from Rich's, she reported it was only once. She identified she had the 429 phone and that the call they had lasted about 10 minutes. Fisker confronted Cortney with the 2 incisions she admitted to having made to remove the baby. He asked her if he thinks Rebecca would have survived those wounds. She said no, probably not. Cortney admitted that about 1 or 2 months prior to this having happened, Bradley researched the procedure for getting a baby out. Cortney said that Bradley put the items in the dumpster, but she was present and the Ford escaped for both. Cortney is asked whose idea it was to leave the items at the crime scene, and she said it was Brad's. She then identified that the items were Kimberly's debit card and razor knife. Cortney reported these items were placed after Kimberly went on social media saying that Cortney and Bradley were responsible for the purpose of framing Kimberly. When pressed on the debit card, Cortney said it belonged to James Mercer, not Kimberly, and the card came from Kimberly's backpack. She said he used one of the plastic bags from her backpack to keep from getting his fingerprints on it. These items were suspected to have been placed by Bradley the day before Rebecca's body was recovered. She said he left with the escape that day for about 20 minutes. Fisker asked Cortney to provide some information that isn't already known that can verify her statement, and she reported Brad said it was his in reference to Rebecca's baby. Now, when it is questioned that they don't like each other, Cortney said, yes, they do. Revisiting the conversation she had with Bradley about a month prior about C-sections, she reported that he looked it up on his phone. When asked why they were having that discussion, Cortney answered, because that's what he said was going to happen. She said he told her he was going to cut the baby out of Rebecca right in front of Rich. Cortney said she brushed it off. Pisker commented on Cortney's story about having delivered a premature baby that was down in the NICU. She denied it and suggested it was a friend's baby she was thinking about giving up. As she's being confronted with the obviousness that there was a plan for this to happen, Cortney said that Bradley had told her to pull straight in, but she didn't. She turned at the corner in her driveway instead. Questioning why he told her to pull in straight, Cortney reveals that Bradley had told her if he was going to do anything, it would be right there. When he does grab Rebecca, Cortney tries to get him to stop, but she said that he had the knife to Rebecca's throat and he ordered everyone to get in the white truck. While in the truck, Rebecca slid over to Cortney, asking what was going on, and she said she reassured her that Bradley just wanted to talk. Cortney described that Rebecca was calm after just having a knife held to her throat to get her in the truck. This was signed on December 2nd, 2025. And that is the end of that. What a messed up family, huh? Jeez. Well, I hope anyone who is involved in this